I'm Stephanie Georgiev. So click below to fill out a form and get access to a free introductory lesson video and handout for the course, which is on target to begin in early 2024. A special welcome to new subscribers and thanks to all who like and share these videos. I really appreciate it. Well, here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are full into autumn, and in North America, at least, it is all things pumpkin. I'm not sure when it started. I do not remember this much of a craze when I was younger, but it is now all pumpkin spice all the time. I was talking with a girlfriend on my cell phone several years ago while I was in a local Trader Joe's market in Orange County, California. She just told me that I should try the Trader Joe's pumpkin spice rooibos tea and was raving about how delicious it was. She was trying to tell me where to find it. And as I walked through the entire store, basically telling her the greater challenge was to find something that was not pumpkin spice enhanced. To me personally, and this isn't the tea, so I'm just talking about pumpkin spice in general. The flavoring is simply cinnamon. But that's me. Far be it from me to criticize the craze, but because, to be honest, it just smells so delightful. What I do think get lost in this pumpkin spice craze is the first word, pumpkin. Because I think if you taste like a pumpkin spice tea, you can say, that tastes like pumpkin. To me, it tastes like cinnamon. But that's just me. Now, at this time, we are in the aftermath of Halloween, and by now, the carved pumpkins on your front porch are starting to cave in, which is with lots of mold, which is kind of a pity. Pumpkins are so delicious, and we can see with all the products bearing this name, quite versatile. Sweet and savory pumpkins are hearty, often fare. But did you know this decorative squash is actually very healthy and can be used medicinally? Well, that's what I'm here for. So for this week's Herb of the Week, we're going to look at pumpkin. Again, when I was young, there was only one sort of pumpkin you could find at the markets. Now, there are things like fairy lantern pumpkins and ghost pumpkins and yellow pumpkins and green pumpkins and black pumpkins, anything you can possibly imagine. In fact, just the plain old orange pumpkins sometimes are difficult to find. Now, a pumpkin, the name pumpkin, is a vernacular or common term for a cultivated orange and round mature winter squash. And all of these types of squash are in the genus Cucurbita, which has culinary and cultural meanings. But there's no agreed upon botanical or scientific meaning for the word pumpkin. And because its color and shape may vary, as we can see with all these lovely varieties in the slide. The term pumpkin is usually interchangeable with the word squash or winter squash. And I can tell you here in Bulgaria, where I'm enjoying a gorgeous autumn, anything that is a squash, including butternut squash, is called pumpkin. That's just how it is. So they're obviously reading all the botanical literature telling them that they can use this word for anything, and is commonly used. The word pumpkin is commonly used for anything you can possibly imagine. Now, native to North America, specifically northeastern Mexico and southern United States, the Cucurbita pepo pumpkins are one of the oldest domesticated plants known in the region and probably around the world. But they've been used as early there's documented evidence that they've been used up to 7,000 BC. Now, today, pumpkins of varieties, different types of varieties and cultivars are widely grown for food, and they're also called an emotional, nostalgic crop. Who of us doesn't just go, oh, when we see the signs for the pumpkin patches? And most people purchase these items actually for decorations. And I'm not sure what everybody does with their pumpkins in December, but during September, October, November, they're usually parts of all sorts of decorations that are really lovely. Now, pumpkins and other squash species, along with corn and beans, are part of the Three Sisters method of companion planting practiced by many North American indigenous cultures. And we see this lovely diagram from the United States Department of Agriculture. And they plant these three items together, and they work very well. They help each other in the soil and the structure and all kinds of things. So those Native American gardeners knew what they were doing. Now, in 2020, world production of pumpkins, and this is the broad term of pumpkin, was 28 million tons. That's a lot of pumpkins. I don't know if you see these really fun videos on YouTube where they feed things to elephants and hippopotamuses. It's kind of fun to watch them toss a very large pumpkin into a hippopotamus mouth and watch them crunch away. Now, China grows 27% of the world's total pumpkin production. And these statistics were from 2020. Ukraine and Russia each produced about 1 million tons. And I'm sure those numbers will be altered, especially in Ukraine, because Russia is putting landmines in their agricultural lands in Ukraine, which is a deep pity. Now, as one of the most popular crops in the United States, there's around 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkins grown every year. And the top pumpkin producing states include Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and my home state of California. Now, historical use of pumpkin is really interesting and really reflects a lot of our modern use of pumpkin. And specifically, pumpkin seeds have been used as folk medicine by Native Americans to treat things like intestinal worms and urinary difficulties, particularly in men. And this Native American remedy was adopted by American doctors in the early 19th century as what is called in herbal lingo, which you'll learn more about if you sign up for the herb course. It's called an antihelminic, and that means something that gets rid of worms. Now, there's a book I highly recommend, and you can get it in hardback or as an ebook, and it's called African and American Slave Medicine. Now, the reason I'm suggesting this book is because it shows the genius and cultural cooperation between African slaves and Native Americans in terms of how they mixed traditions and available plant species to deal with health problems, because you can count on the plantation owners wanting to spend lots of money on healthcare for slaves. So they had to do it themselves. And the stories in this book, and also many of the uses that they created for different plants, is very informative. Now, in this book, they cite that the Cucurbita pepo, which is the typical orange pumpkin, these pumpkin seeds were used by African slaves along with hemp to treat yellow fever. And the seeds were used also to help expel worms in the intestinal tract. So we can see all sorts of overlap of the use of this wonderful plant. Now, the nutritional benefits, and this is a plant where the nutrition kind of overlaps the medicinal, which I always find really delightful because I love to eat. So wouldn't you rather eat your medicine rather than take pills? That's just how I look at it. But anyways, the nutritional benefits of pumpkin are legion. And this lovely, lovely yellow color of the flesh shows that it's high in carotenoids, which basically means antioxidants. So it's very high in antioxidants. It's low in calories. It's very high in fiber. So for all of us, especially Americans who are dealing with the battle of the bulge, we need food that is high in nutrition and low in calories and also high in fiber. This is the magic formulation, because it fills you up without making the rest of your body expand. Now, the vitamins that are found in pumpkin are vitamin A and lutein and zeaxanthin. And these substances are really good for the eyes. So they're good for protecting your eyesight. They're very high in potassium and vitamin C. And all of these nutrients, including the carotenoids like beta carotene, are really good for heart health. They promote healthy skin, and they're just really good for you. The other thing that's really interesting about the nutritional aspects of pumpkin flesh, not the seeds, the flesh, is that it's rich in prebiotics. And prebiotics, if you are a regular supplement observer like I am, it's always interesting to me how the market comes up with new and interesting products, basically to make up for the fact that nobody's eating anything of value when it comes to nutrition. So the big thing is obviously probiotics. You want to take probiotics, and you take them all sorts of different ways, and there's all sorts of different deliveries for pills and how much stuff is in them and this and that. And now we have to take another pill before we take the probiotic, and it's called prebiotics. And these are basically natural polysaccharides and sugars that help probiotics grow. And we want to have lots of probiotics in our digestive system, particularly our intestines and our colons. And if you eat pumpkin and mix that with some sort of fermented food like miso or yogurt or kefir, something like that, you're going to do sauerkraut's another one. You're going to really help your body grow the good stuff in your intestines. Now, the nature of pumpkin, it's also moistening to the body. So it's very good for your lungs as well as your digestive system. And in Chinese medicine, the pumpkin is, in terms of nutritional therapy, is considered corresponding to the earth element, which represents the digestive system. And this is a wonderful item, and which I think is so interesting, that nature provides things for us that we should be eating. So the reason, I don't know if the reason is this, but I think it's a lovely correlation that pumpkins are really good to eat as the weather changes and cold and flu season begins, and that's in the autumn. And this is a wonderful food to eat during that time, especially as a soup or in a curry. It's warming and deeply nourishing to the body, and also it gives you those wonderful prebiotics, and it nourishes the chi. So it's really good for you. Now, the traditional Chinese medicine use of pumpkin seed, it's called nangua zi, and a little Chinese lesson, anything with the word zi in it means seeds. And the Chinese use the whole thing, the shell plus the beautiful little green kernel. And they either use the whole thing and boil it in water and drink the tea, or grind up the whole seed and then put the powder into whatever you like to drink. Water, tea, warm juice, you name it. You can just add that to that. And the qualities are sweet and neutral. It's nourishing and enters into the stomach and large intestine meridian. It's used for expelling parasites in traditional Chinese medicine. It also increases milk production in lactating women. So this is a good thing to put in your smoothies or your morning porridge, or sprinkle into your salads if you are breastfeeding. These seeds replenish qi, they resolve toxins and expel worms, they disperse cold, and they also clear damp and phlegm. Now, modern use of pumpkin seeds is really focused in on the prostate. These are something all men should eat all the time because they're very high in zinc. Now, women need iron, men need zinc, and specifically zinc picolinate because it's very well absorbed by the body. And zinc is very nourishing for the prostate gland. And it's a good idea to eat a handful of pumpkin seeds at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I suggest raw because that's usually where you can get most of your nutrients. If you want to, you can soak and sprout them, which puts out more stuff into the availability within your digestive system. And there's a lot of studies that say that eating pumpkin seeds on a regular basis limit prostate enlargement. And prostate enlargement is the bane of growing older as a man. And the men that are listening to this, or the women who love men who are growing older, be they partners or relatives, will know what I'm talking about. Pumpkin seeds contain phytosterols, which help break down testosterone, and unbroken down testosterone in the system is what wreaks havoc on the male body. And this phytosterol is a protective compound that may be responsible for reducing prostate enlargement. And unless you're allergic to these things, which some people may be, so make sure you get a little sample before you buy tons of these things. Make sure that you don't break out in hives or throw up or do other things. I don't know of any reported allergies in the literature, but if it's you, it's meaningful. So do a little taste test before you dive in. Now, the main supplement on the market that's widely available, and you can also get it in bulk form, is pumpkin seed oil. And obviously, it's the oil derived from pumpkin seeds. Now, pumpkin seed oil can be used in cooking. It can be taken as a supplement. It can be applied to the hair. And if you want, you can use this as a finishing oil, like you would olive oil on a salad or your morning porridge or something. Now, as you can see by the beautiful color of this oil, it's a good source of antioxidants and heart healthy fats like linoleic acid. And these essential fatty acids that are found in pumpkin seed oil also, not only are they good for the heart, they may help even out blood sugar metabolism. Pumpkin seed oil supplements are often used and promoted and labeled to promote prostate health. And pumpkin seed oil studies indicate that they're especially useful for enlarged prostates, which are called benign, which means non-cancerous prostatic hyperplasia. This just basically means the prostate is getting bigger, and this seems to be part of getting older as a male. And it's a condition characterized by the enlargement of the prostate gland, which can block the flow of urine. So what you see is a lot of desire to urinate and inability to empty everything, which means you have to keep going to the restroom, which is not good. It's really, I can't emphasize enough, all the research and studies and articles come out, that men predecease women. And one of the biggest reasons is that men simply don't go to the doctor. And women tend to go to the doctor and go to the doctor a lot. And if you get regular physicals, then you can find stuff out that has a potential to be very harmful. So as women get their self-breast exams and go in yearly for their pap smears, and depending on your age and your history, how often you want to get either a mammogram or an ultrasound or a thermography, it's really, really imperative that men go to the doctor once a year, get a lot of blood work, chest x-ray, and then it's not a pleasant thing. I can see why men don't want to go to the doctor, to get a prostate exam by a qualified healthcare practitioner, such as a physician, physician assistant, or a nurse practitioner, or a naturopath, where they do that unpleasant exam, but it's a really good way to determine if anything is going wrong with the prostate. And then you can follow it up with blood work, ultrasounds, biopsies, and things like that. Now, pumpkin seed oil is very good with urinary tract problems, and it's a good preventative to take the oil in a supplement or eat it or munch on some raw seeds. Now, how to take pumpkins and pumpkin seed oil? There's really no specific dosage. The capsules of the oil usually range from 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. You can take the powdered pumpkin seeds with water, so like a tablespoon, and mix it up in your tea or your smoothie or juice or whatever. You can also eat a handful of raw seeds a few times a week, or on frequent occasions, eat a cup of pureed pumpkin or cooked pumpkin, which seems to give therapeutic effects. And again, it's not pumpkin pie, it's the pumpkin puree, which you can add to your oatmeal or your smoothies, or eat as a soup. You can really get some wonderful therapeutic effects. Now, pumpkin in your gardens, this is something to do with leftover pumpkins from Halloween. Make sure to save some of the seeds, wash them. They got a lot of goop and stringy stuff all over them. You wash them and then let them air dry, like on a dish towel or a paper towel, and then put them in an airtight container after they've dried. And you can start your seedlings in the spring. And this is a wonderful plant to grow with children, and it takes over the garden. Now, I've lived in places where they've grown very large pumpkins on trellises, and somehow these large gourds don't fall off. I call them magic plants. You can decide how you want to do this and how large you want to grow your pumpkins growing in the air, but there's all kinds of information on how to do this. They take up a lot of garden space, and I can tell you, you can actually see them grow, the vines. It's amazing. if you go out into your little pumpkin garden bed and drink your tea and admire your garden, then you go inside, do your chores. A couple hours later, you come out, and I'm not kidding you, the vines sometimes can be 5 to 6 inches longer than what you saw in the morning. So it's quite amazing. And it's also, they're very beautiful plants, and the flowers are very beautiful. They do well in their own designated bed. You can put a trellis to give the vines somewhere to go, because they're looking for something to grow on, let me tell you. Now, the link in the description below will show you how to start your pumpkin garden. Now, cooking with pumpkin is just a joy. And, there's all kinds of canned stuff in the market. But if you make your own, especially if you grow pumpkins or you just haul off with things that no one else wants to buy after Halloween and Thanksgiving, you can just roast them and puree them and either can them or freeze it and use it throughout the year. And you can do sweet and savory, roasted, all of it. You can take the seeds. It's just a wonderful thing to have. And one of my favorite ways to eat pumpkin is through soups, but I also like pumpkin in curries, and roasted pumpkin is really yummy. And obviously all the wonderful ways to eat it in pies and cookies and cakes and things like that. And again, it can be sweet or savory. Now the seeds, I recommend, if you're going to cook with these, the skinned ones with the green kernels, those are the most versatile, and you can make pestos with these. Pumpkin seed and cilantro pesto is so yummy. You can also throw them in your oatmeal, make your own granola, sprinkle them on salads. You can do all kinds of things with that. So I've got a link in the program notes on some wonderful recipes to cook with pumpkin. So this is Stephanie Georgieff saying thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. If you're interested in exploring a year-long course on everything you can possibly want to know about botanical medicine, click below for your free introductory video and handouts. And until next time, be well.